So our topic was on servant leadership. This term was first coined by the AT&T executive and management consultant Robert K. Greenleaf. And it's just a theory of leadership that focuses on the leader and offers a perspective of the motivation and character of the leader. Um, it has kind of changed since then, so it's really just a practice where leaders are prioritizing the needs and well-being of their followers, which is just emphasizing service, collaboration, and overall empowerment. Um, so the official definition is servant leadership is a form of moral-based leadership where leaders tend to practice the fulfillment of the needs of followers rather than satisfying their personal needs.
So, some of the characteristics associated with servant leadership can be described as having good active listening, having empathy, healing, focusing on personal growth, awareness, persuasion and motivation, conceptualization, foresight, stewardship, commitment to the growth of the people they serve, as well as building community.
All right, so now I'm going to go over some strengths to servant leadership and some challenges associated. So, first, when leaders utilize servant leadership, they are prioritizing the needs of their followers. So, followers feel like their needs are being met. They feel empowered through this process because their leader is practicing training and skill building and is truly trying to meet their um, highest priority needs. Thirdly, servant leadership improves the decision-making process um, of all people, all of the followers. Additionally, there is an increase in productivity, there's more morale and loyalty, and additionally, there is seen to be a decrease in the employee turnover rate when servant leadership is used. Now, on to the challenges. So, it's one thing to understand the needs of every follower, but it's another thing to actually meet the needs of all the followers. So, that could potentially be quite a challenge. Secondly, some environments do not support servant leadership, which limits leaders' ability to teach and collaborate with all followers. Um, so every employee might not necessarily feel a sense of growth or the benefits of servant leadership. And then thirdly, organizational barriers can impact leaders' abilities to interact with all followers. Um, and because of this challenge, some followers may not receive all of the same information. They may feel like they're being isolated. And this overall leads to a sense of instability and insecurity.
Yeah, so to give a little bit of context, we wanted to provide an example of servant leadership in practice. So, Sister Genevieve Cummings was a respected educator and leader in OT at the College of St. Catherine. Her leadership embodied the core principles of servant leadership, leaving a lasting legacy in OT education. So, she was actually um, a great example of servant leadership. So, fourth key themes of her servant leadership is one was enabling others. She was prioritizing students' needs and she also mentored faculty with just humility and care. So overall, she was really just putting others' needs before her own. Another key theme was her focus on the greater good. So she made decisions balancing both the department and institutional needs. She supported systemic ethical practices in OT and just really was supporting others in all aspects. Thirdly, her leadership through caring and service. She was constantly listening deeply and treated everyone with respect. She often worked behind the scenes and never sought attention and kind of like recognition for what she was doing. Lastly is collaborative visioning. She just unified voices and built consensus. So she was really bringing people together and trying to collaborate and create this sense of community. She thought holistically with foresight and intention. So her leadership kind of just reminds us that supporting the needs of others, which whether that is students, colleagues, or client, it leads to meaningful and lasting impact. So her legacy aligns with the values of occupational therapy of collaboration, empowerment, and holistic care. And all of this came from kind of student and faculty interviews, and they just talked very highly of her. So we wanted to give this great example. And she also is from Minnesota, so she is representing OT in Minnesota as well.
All right, now we're going to go into how servant leadership can be applied in a clinical setting. So us as students, or when we are practicing healthcare providers, we can utilize the 10 key characteristics of servant leadership in the clinical setting. First, we can practice listening, so understanding the client's narrative, considering their experience and context. Secondly, we can practice empathy, so we can better understand the client's feelings to build a sense of trust and a safe space for our clients. We can promote healing, not only for the client, but also healing for ourselves, whether that be mentally, physically, practicing balance and mindfulness. Then we have awareness. So as a practitioner or an OT student, we want to be aware of how our words, our body language, everything we do, how it impacts our client's therapy. Fifth is persuasion. So in some sense, it is good to persuade clients to support their occupational engagement. So sometimes in clinic, we're doing things that are challenging or maybe scary for clients. So supporting them through that process is important, so they have the opportunity to grow. Then we have conceptualization. So goal setting is a main priority here. So the OT collaborates with their client to set goals and understand the trajectory of therapy, to kind of see like what is our end goal here? What are we working towards? Then we have foresight, which relates to this. So that would be planning involved, creating a timeline again for the sequence of all the therapy sessions, and what that would look like. And we also want to consider the outcomes of therapy as well. Then we have stewardship. So that is our commitment to our clients, to serving our clients in the community and having their best interest at heart. Then we have commitment to the growth of others. So that would be us planning therapy intentionally to help our clients grow, providing a just right challenge for them, and promoting a sense of independence. And then we have building community. So that can be building community for our clients. So maybe providing them resources so they can interact with other people in the community, building a sense of community in the clinic as well, encouraging a sense of belonging and social participation, or building community amongst all of us as healthcare providers.
So to apply this to client-centered care, servant leadership in occupational therapy fosters client-centered care by prioritizing their needs first, encouraging collaboration, using empathy, active listening, and helping them reach their full potential. And we also, throughout this process, using servant leadership, help ensure that there's autonomy, we're promoting equity, and we're nurturing collaboration as well as decision-making. So the tenets of occupational therapy align with servant leadership, because servant leadership characteristics and quality reflect client-centeredness, which I mentioned before. Again, including characteristics such as listening, empathy, as well as stewardship. And servant leadership is also holistic, another tenet of occupational therapy, because we're focusing on the healing and the commitment to growth, as well as conceptualization and foresight when considering person factors, environmental factors, as well as occupational factors, which contribute to the overall health and well-being of the people we serve. Again, in the OTPF, some other themes that are reflected through servant leadership include empowerment, autonomy, as well as client-centeredness.
Here are our references. The main takeaway that you just want to take away from servant leadership is kind of like the call to serve. It's prioritizing the needs of others, empowering others, and just collaborating with one another. So thanks for listening to our little lecture today.